Here you can see my garden right here. I have some tomatoes right here. So I use these 2x2 stakes. You can get them at Lowe's or Home Depot. And I just got the reject ones. They were less expensive, you know. And then I take a fence pole driver and I just pound those into the ground. Well, first I I take a saw and I make the blunt edge. I just cut it 45 degrees angle so that I can so it just goes straight into the ground. So it makes it easier to pound into the ground. And then I just tie up with some, some clothesline yarn, or you don't want it to be too too thin, or else it'll just cut through your tomato line. So this is thick enough that it won't cut your tomato. Okay, this is how you put in a stake into the ground. Okay, take one of these 2x2s, and then it's a little hard to put into the ground when they're square like this, right? So I want to just create a little 45-degree angle on there in order to have it go into the ground better. It makes a little point, right? So all I do is I just take a saw and I start making a 45-degree angle, okay? So I'll just do that real quick. All right, now I have my 45-degree angle. It'll be, looks like that. It's not perfect, but you know what? It's better than before. That'll pound pretty easily into the ground. So what I do is I just take one of these suckers and I drive it into the ground like this. So I'm just going to go put this right here over it. This nicely over. Boom. Okay, I just do it until it's solidly into the ground, like that. There you have it, a nice stake in the ground. Now I'm going to teach you how to tie this knot onto the pole. Now what you do is when you have your line and you want to tie this knot on there, go like this. You fold this over, make a loop. Okay, there's one loop. Then you make another loop like this, the same direction. Then you put the second one behind. Okay, and so that's the knot that it creates. So and if I put it over the pole like this, and I cinch it down, boom, there's my knot. Okay, you can see that really close. That's the knot that you want. Okay, and then you can really cinch it in and make it tight. It doesn't need to be extremely tight on there because the tomato plant's not that heavy. Okay, so again, you make a loop around, make a loop around again, put the second one behind, and then put that over your pole, and then cinch it up and tighten it. Okay, there you go. There's your knot. Okay, so we're gonna walk through my tomatoes. I plant them pretty dang close. I know you're supposed to space them a little bit farther apart, but you know what? I want to maximize my space. Okay, so you can see how I space the string about 10 inches apart or so, maybe a foot apart, and I usually put a stake per tomato, and sometimes if I run out of stakes, I'll do, like right here, I did like 2 or 3 tomato plants per stake, and so they grow up, and the tomato plants, all the different varieties, grow at different lengths or at different speeds. So down there you can see that they're already like the tomato plants are already like 8 feet tall or even taller. Um, so you go down, and it's August here now where I live, and you can see that the lower tomatoes are starting to ripen up. There's a big old tomato right there, a very nice one. That's a pink Brandywine. That's a delicious tomato right there. Pink Brandywine, one of my favorite tomatoes. It's just, they look kind of gnarly. You know, the heirloom tomatoes aren't the best, like looking tomatoes, but they have an awesome flavor. Just amazing. So, I'm gonna take a bite of this beautiful Brandywine tomato. That's the best tomato ever. Oh my gosh. So much flavor, and they're a little acidic, but that's where you get the flavor. The tomatoes that you buy at the store, they're horrible. They're horrible. They look beautiful, but then you take a bite of it, and it's like, what? There's no flavor. But this sucker right here, look, it has blemishes and whatnot. Look at the bottom of that little blemish there. But who cares? The flavor is amazing. I have some black plastic. There's and right here they're not, the plastic's not connected together. It's just it's probably 20 to 30 feet long by like 3 feet or 4 feet, and then I just put dirt in between so that the plastic isn't flying everywhere. And so this does multiple things. It keeps the moisture in, and at the beginning when I plant these tomatoes, it keeps the soil really, really warm, and so that's what the tomatoes like. I planted these tomatoes by seed in the ground right here, so I didn't start them inside. I was too busy, and I didn't start my tomatoes inside, unfortunately. But you can definitely do that. And I live in a cold climate, and so and I have tons of tomatoes. Then underneath that, I have, you can see my drip tape. See right there? I have drip tape right under there, and that is on the timer, and it drips, and it goes off for just like a couple minutes every few hours or something like that. And so I don't have to water hardly at all, and because this black plastic retains the moisture in there. Once the plants get taller and taller, then they shade the plastic, but you don't really need the soil to be as warm anymore because it's already summer. So from June, July, your soil is going to be warm enough, so you don't need to heat up that soil. So the leaves really block or they shade this part. But in like April, May, when you're planting your tomatoes, so that's when you need the heat. And so your plants are like super small. The sun is going right onto the black plastic, heating up the soil, and the tomatoes really like that. Okay, so and that's how I basically trellis my tomatoes. And check it out over here. Cucumbers. I trellis my cucumbers as well. That seems to work really well. They like it off the ground. Super easy to pick. You never find a cucumber that is too large, because you can see plainly where they are. Sometimes when they're sprawled on the ground, they get hidden and then you get this gigantic cucumber, and you don't want to eat it because it's just nasty. So we go down here. Here's, you can see my tomatoes are super tall. And so when you get your tomatoes to be about this big, and they're kind of hanging out, right? Here, I'm gonna put this tomato down here. Okay. So when they're hanging out like this, if they get fruit on them, they're gonna just go hang down, right? They're gonna just go down. So what you do is you just push them in. You just push them in, and then, you know, go like that, and then they'll be supported, right? So any more that needs to be pushed in, these could be pushed in underneath. Okay. And if the fall and winter didn't come, these plants, these indeterminate plants, would just keep on growing till the cows came home, right? It's like Jack and the Beanstalk. And they just keep on growing, up, 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 up. So these are probably 8 feet tall now. That's pretty dang tall. All right, there you have it. That's how I plant my tomatoes and trellis them. I use my drip tape, my big 2x2 stakes, pound them in. I tie them up with this rope, and I use that knot. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Hope you enjoyed it and learned something. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And comment below if you have any questions, and I'll try to answer them. Have a great day. Happy gardening.